Welcome to today's episode, the podcast where we discuss the most recent installments of a different series every show. It is Friday, October 24th, the day that Annie Edison Taylor went over Niagara Falls in a barrel. This was back in 1901, and she did it for money, and she survived. However, she still died in poverty. That's what the note says on here. It is also National Crazy Day, which I think would fit in with Annie Edison Taylor and her motives for jumping off of Niagara Falls.
Wait, so you're saying that she jumped off in a barrel, but
Yes, she tumbled off in a barrel.
but she literally made it with no help aside from her in the barrel?
She landed in the water, and then I guess she just popped out of there, and she was fine, and she got paid for it. Yeah, so what drives people the most crazy? The DMV? Yeah,
Yep.
would that be fair? DMV versus MVD, because we have an MVD where we are 5 states in the U.S. have them. The rest of them have DMVs. What's the difference, do you know?
No, I don't.
There really isn't one. It's just how the state decides to refer to their motor vehicle department.
They're just as slow, though.
They are?
Yeah,
You
I
don't
would
like
say
the
so.
MVD? Do you
Well,
have any stories?
I do, because I remember that it was August 2014, so this was right before my sophomore year of high school, and I was taking my permit test, and I failed it the first time, but then I came back the next day, and I ended up actually succeeding. I got my permit, and then when I was leaving at celebration, I was going to see Guardians of the Galaxy in the movie theater, but when I got home, I realized that they had my gender wrong. They put me down as female. So I had to drive back, and I was like, hey, you guys got this wrong. Had to wait forever. They gave me another ID, and it still had me marked down as female.
That's
so,
weird.
so then I was like, guys, I'm male. I need this to be correct. It took me 2 hours to finally get it corrected.
And you had your birth certificate there, right?
Yes.
So they didn't have to look at a bunch of other documents. The funny thing is, I read something recently where there was a guy who, because of the titling of his birth certificate, had also written down female on it. And so he wasn't allowed to join the basketball team because of all the trans issues going on. And they said, and so I read a comment that was well, he should try out for the women's basketball team and see how far he can go up the ranks.
Did you fail your driver's test the first time?
Nope. I passed it with flying colors. And then I was surprised when they didn't make me do a written portion when the actual drive, the permit, you got the written portion. But apparently if you did that, you're good for 6 months and you don't have to do the written portion again when you get the actual license, at least where we are. And so I also remember in 2014 when you were doing that, I think I was in line waiting for you to get done with your test. And I heard one guy look at another guy and be like, bro.
When'd you get out, I think?
Yeah. He was like, bro, when'd you get out? And then they just started having a prison conversation right there in front of everybody. You get some characters at the DMV. Do you think that the DMV is adequately represented, not in this show, but in Zootopia?
Zootopia is correct, yes.
The sloth?
Yep, I remember that was shown in the trailer, and that was what everyone wanted to see when they walked into the movie theater.
Now, back in the day when people could just drive and you could be whatever age, this is when cars first started becoming available to the public, which state do you think was the first one to say, you need a driver's license?
Oh,
just out of what you know about all states.
I would go with maybe California.
Wait, what? Missouri?
Oh, I was thinking California because of the size.
1903. And it was requiring all motorists to obtain the operator's license. They also had, I think, another state do it in 1903, but it was only for chauffeurs. Who do you think was the last state to require a license? This is also the last state to require a written portion to the test.
Can you give me a year?
1954.
Okay, I'll go with just randomly. Oh, Hawaii, right?
Nope, South Dakota.
Why South Dakota?
Just think about it. I don't know. So, do you like your photo?
No, I wanted to get it changed for the longest time.
Lots of people don't like their photos.
I was surprised when I heard, though, that they allow you to change it.
They do, but they don't allow you to put a face covering or anything on your head unless it's for religious purposes. And so there was a lady a few years ago who believed in the flying spaghetti monster.
The flying spaghetti monster?
You know the flying spaghetti monster, right?
No.
That was a big meme back in the day. Anyways, she was allowed to put a spaghetti strainer on her head, one of those colanders. Yeah, one of those colanders. Anyways, so the CBS series that we're following today is it's based off a lot of DMV experiences, but specifically about this, I guess, short story by Katherine Heiny Heiny, chicken
Chicken
flavored.
flavor and lemon scented, right?
Yeah, and I read that really short story, and do you wanna know why it's called chicken flavored and lemon scented? Did they talk about that in the TV series?
No.
I didn't see. So that is what they called the, like, pretty girls who would show up at the DMV and who would because okay, so this follows a quirky set of minimum wage employees who work at the DMV and are always dealing with annoyed customers
Right.
or annoying situations, and at the same time, they're feeling the impending doom of being replaced by AI and automation. But more on that later. What would happen is that the main character Colette, who's also Colette in the short story, she and the rest of the squad would diversify who took who out for their drives because she would take the nervous people and then some like the dudes would look for like if there's a hot girl who walks in and they would and until one got in trouble for that because he asked one of them who was on the pill if she was on the pill.
That's how the first scene is, and not necessarily all of that, but you do see Colette, Vic, and Greg, and they're all doing driving tests like they're grading the
Right.
drivers.
And so Vic is also in the story. I remember that. And I think they changed his character a bit here. You recognized him, right?
Yeah, from the Righteous
Keith
Gemstones.
Chambers from the Righteous Gemstones. He's got a haircut here. He's an ex bouncer. How would you describe his character?
He's a semi-dick and really dumb,
Yeah.
but he cares about his friends. Like, he cares about Colette and Greg.
And how would you describe Tim Meadows' character?
Tim Meadows is, I think, the person that keeps it grounded. He's also a driving examiner, but he's more calm. And I think probably, yeah, the most sane character there.
If I was to broadly say what the show gets right, it does follow the short story pretty well. One of the things that they bring up in the short story is that, like, what if Ted Bundy must have needed to get a driver's license at some point? How would that experience have gone for the person who was doing the test? Like how he would have acted. And so the first thing you see in the first episode is kind of like an Ed Gein or Norman Bates type character who he has a shovel in the back
Yeah.
and he's just like so. His stare is so penetrating and scary. It just seems
Well,
like
she
this guy
says
is creepy.
because it's Colette. Colette's the one that's
Yeah.
doing the test, and she says like stop at this light or something, and he says that's what mother used to say or something.
Right.
Right.
And so that comes kind of from the story as well. She's also kind of into this dude. In
Noah.
the short story, it's Alejandro. They changed it to Noah here, kind of a different backstory. And at the second episode, I saw that he winks at her. And that comes directly from the short story as well. So they are following some of the jokes there. I also think anything that you can get Tim Meadows in is a plus.
He plays Tim Meadows. That's
Yeah, at
just
this
him.
point, it's like him from No Activity. You've got a lot of No Activity alumni, 3 at least here. Harriet Dyer, the main character, she was in the original Australian version. She's also married to Patrick Bramall,
Oh.
the main guy from that. So they've worked together a lot in the past. She was also in the American version of it. And then also, I think you have the director of the episode, who was one of the co-creators, as well as Patrick Bramall, on No Activity.
I
So
don't think I've seen Colette, the actress, in anything before, but I thought that Colette, Vic, and Greg, they hold the show down. Like, they are the best part of the show.
you've seen Colette, but it would have been in The Invisible Man. She played the sister in that.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And then also, I just want to point out, as far as what the show gets right, the composer is named Gabriel Mann. And if you've ever looked at a picture of a composer and thought, this guy has, and not seen what his job is, that is what you would immediately have assumed. that he
Number
is.
one guess,
Yes.
huh?
No, this guy is not the actor, because there's also a Gabriel Mann who's an actor. But the Gabriel Mann, he also did compositions for High School Musical, the series.
Oh, the series, the TV series,
So
yeah.
he knows his music. What comparisons would you make to DMV?
Even though it's not a mockumentary, this felt like one. Like, I got sense of like The Office, Parks and Rec, Abbott Elementary, What We Do in the Shadows a little bit with the kind of the insanity that happens, The Paper, St. Denis Medical, a lot of that.
I'm
It's just-
happy it's not a mockumentary, though. I feel like we've gotten too much of that with St. Dennis and The Paper going on right now.
It
Not
seems to
everything
be
has to be.
strangely strangely coming back. Like, there was a time after Parks and Rec where it seemed like mockumentaries were kind of getting phased out, and in the last few years, especially because of their popularity, it seems like a lot of shows are doing it. But I agree with you. I think that that's actually a pro for the show. There's no, like, side panel interviews. There's not even a camera crew, really. It just feels like it because it's a single camera handheld comedy.
Right, and, there's one comparison I'm surprised you didn't make, and that's Division Palermo,
Oh,
because,
yeah, no, I guess.
except Division Palermo feels like it's a little bit funnier, it feels like it's riskier, it's more original, and like, between the 2, I would probably go for that foreign series a bit more, if you're okay with subtitles. Going Dutch, the same director I said, Trent O'Donnell, who did Ghosts, Saved by the Bell, all of those pilots, but now he's done this one, and the No Activity co-creator. It feels like No Activity kind of led to this, because if you look at like the season 3 plot line,
Uh-huh.
that was all about how they were being replaced. The police dispatch was being replaced by AI, right?
Right, and this is where, like, one of 4 branches in East Hollywood are going to get shut down.
Yeah, as Barb, the runner of the California DMV here, she's running the big sack, as she puts it, right? Because Sacramento's branch,
Yeah.
and she's afraid that these 2 people who are introduced in the first episode are going to come in and kill their funding and get rid of all the employees.
However, though, it's strange because Colette, who's the main character of the series, really her one storyline so far in the first 2 episodes has just been about flirting awkwardly with Noah.
Right, it does feel like it's more of a love story between the 2 of them.
Which is strange because the Will They Won't They is usually like a B story, but this is very much something that is character driven.
I would say the paper this year has definitely made the love stories the main focus. But St. Denis and Division Palermo, the love stories were kind of, yeah, like you're saying, a B story. Doesn't always tend to be the case. So who's your favorite character?
Probably Greg. I enjoyed how Greg was
Tim
grounded.
Meadows.
Tim Meadows, yeah, again, he just plays himself. But I think that the best part is Colette, Vic, and Greg. Their chemistry on screen, they're the most rootable characters in the show. They provide the series the most heart, and they're all very likable.
So in the first episode, Greg and Vic are both having a bet that Colette is not going to be able to ask out Noah, right?
She's too shy, and it's $100 bet, and Vic is betting that she's not going to be able to do it.
And at the same time, he's also rooting that she does, though.
Yep.
And then she ends up getting stuck in the bathroom, yeah?
Yeah, the bathroom window. She's so embarrassed when she's talking to Noah because she had a maxi pad on her unknowingly.
That was beforehand. So she does that. She goes into the bathroom and she tries to escape. She gets stuck like Pooh Bear. And then everybody from the office comes in there to like laugh at her.
Yeah.
And
She's
Noah,
like, she's half naked too. She has a bra on, but like.
yeah, because she was trying to squeeze out. And but the thing that was weird about that, though, is she said she got caught on a nail, right?
Yeah.
And that's, if you're caught on a nail, and he does make the joke because Noah saves her. He goes outside and he pulls her in from the back, but you don't see any blood or anything like that. That would be, and he says you need a tetanus shot,
Yeah.
but that would be the scariest motive.
That I
To
thought
be
the
alive.
same thing. I was like, isn't there blood
That's so
somewhere?
gross.
Because she's talking about how it's like digging into her skin.
Oh, gross.
And I was like, where exactly is the blood mark? I didn't see it anywhere.
I don't care to see it. I just meant that's a weird angle to take for your comedy on the first episode. So yeah, it becomes more about her and Colette and her experience. The short story, that's where it diverges significantly because it's less about her and Alejandro and more about how she ends up taking this girl out on one of her driving lessons only to realize that the girl wants an abortion, and it gets like real
Whoa.
the pit level seriousness on you in that short story.
Yeah, see, this show's never going to go there. This is just a very light TV
I can
series.
see how it might, but it just would take some maneuvering. And
I don't. When you compare other age comedies like this day and age with like The Chair Company, The Curse, Beef, Barry, BoJack Horseman, even The Rehearsal you can throw in there. Those are dark comedies. I can never see the DMV going that dark as
This
you're
is what they've
describing.
set up, though. Colette is a type A personality. She likes to get things done the way she wants to get them done. In the second episode, when the HVAC goes out, she goes over everyone's head, even though it's against the rules. She starts bringing this lady to the front of the line, and we find out at the end that was a stupid thing to do because she could have just dropped off her license plate in a bucket or whatever. And then she also turns on the HVAC with no experience on how to actually work the
She
system.
pressed the cooling button.
And causes the entire building all the lights to go off, all the power to go out.
Yeah, and it basically resets the
entire
everything.
system. And so she is used to playing by the beat of her own drum. She also sees Noah, who she ends up getting jealous of, fall in love with this girl who he had met over the
Well, what she
summer.
was doing was she was taking him out for a driving test because he was starting to get very annoyed. And apparently, there's this thing at the company where if you like your third Wednesday or something like
Yeah.
that, if you're able to make it through that, then you're going to be able to kind of keep working there. But usually, it gets become so stressful that people quit. She takes him out for a driving test, thinking it's going to be easy, and then he sees his old flame. Her name was Mary. They apparently were together, but got wiped out on a beach and didn't speak to each other until that very moment. So basically, we're seeing Colette kind of have one of the worst days because she's responsible for resetting the system. She's responsible for basically putting Noah and Mary together. And she's also, the plate that you were talking about, the license plate.
But what I'm trying to say is that just because she's having a bad day now, we're getting a good understanding that her personality is that of someone who is making these decisions on her own. And then the rest of the staff feels bad for her. And they're like, we don't want you to leave either. We do care about you. By the end, she's going to have to do something, I would think, later on in the season that shows why why she needs to be there, why she is the main
Like
character.
almost a save the cat time kind of moment.
Yeah, and that would be where the lady comes in the case of the short story with wanting to get an abortion, but not wanting to tell her parents and trying to navigate all the issues with that. So if they replace that with some other storyline where she's taking responsibility of something and taking charge, then I guess that would make the most sense to me of where I've seen this show going.
We see her taking some responsibility because she does admit to everything at the end of the second episode. And that's why I'm talking about the heart working so well, because I did like the very ending scene where Greg is kind of giving her a pep talk. But in that way that you're talking about, Colette kind of, I think, coming into her own really by the end of the season, doing some big thing. I think that's one of the best things also about the show, the potential, because we've gotten crazy a little bit in the first two episodes.
It's National Crazy
But
Day.
but it will go probably the strangeness will hit a certain wall by like the end of the season. I'm imagining that like we're already seeing the customers acting like zombies. We're probably going to get like a car crashing through the DMV or something. So I think that is something that I'm looking forward to also with the series. It's very light. The threat of them being closed down, I actually found an interesting angle, which is an odd pro to give the series.
It feels like that's happening in every comedy though now.
But you don't really need like a crazy plot to I think drive this thing.
The next episode is called Easy Pass. Now,
I saw that.
There's only 13 states in the US that don't have toll roads, but this one clearly, obviously in California, they do. And so that's what they're going to be talking about next episode. Did you recognize Mark Feuerstein?
No,
The
I
guest
didn't.
star who kept on coming in there.
Oh, he was in Royal Pains, right? He was in the
playing
first
a royal
episode.
pain here. He was a guy who just wouldn't let up. He was like a business dude, and he just was like demanding that they help him, even though he didn't have the right form of ID.
He's
saw actually married to the showrunner. So,
oh, okay, that makes sense why he was there. He's like 54. He does not look it from from what I saw. But then again, I never really watched Royal Pains.
well, the two showrunners I just want to say are from Friends and How I Met Your Mother. That was their like two big shows that they'd done before. However, they weren't the showrunners; they were just producers. Yeah.
Well, the How I Met Your Mother, the CBS connection, that makes sense. Also, the TV series is short. So those are my pros. But I think my cons are that, like, aside from the three characters, people like Barb and Ceci are just Ceci's the photographer.
Or
She's
Cece,
really
I don't know how you
sassy.
pronounce her name.
Yeah, they're not good characters, and I don't care about really any of them. Even Noah is, like, just kind of one note. He hasn't done much in the two episodes for me to really care about him yet.
He's been the attractive love interest dude who winks at whoever and seems to fall in love with whatever pretty girl walks in front of him.
But did you notice that both episodes kind of follow the same formula as well? Colette is the rootable character, but she ends up embarrassing herself and putting herself in these, like, really embarrassing situations, and then by the end kind of has a moment where she's either breaking down, but by the very end of the episodes it ends up turning out well for her. Like she realizes that her friends like her that much, and it's like that's a fine thing to have, but the two episodes are practically like carbon copy the same in terms of structure.
Yeah, I don't think CBS here was looking for anything that was going to have it's not Pluribus. It's not a Vince Gilligan show. We're not going to be going crazy with that.
Fair enough, but predictability was kind of one of my cons. And also my last one, it's the biggest one. This feels like, and I may be wrong, but this really does feel like a one-season show. Like, I can't help but look at it.
Remember when Tim Meadows was in the other one at the same time as he was in Peacemaker and all those other of things.
He's showing up everywhere. But yeah, no, that's kind of the thing where it's like I'm just looking at it, and even though the episodes are episodic, which they kind of have to be for a show like
Episodes
this.
are episodic.
Well,
yes.
I mean, like, there's not like a full storyline. You can watch any episode and not get lost with it. It just feels like there's not much of a pull for like a second season or anything.
So far, again, 2 episodes. Who knows? The first 2 episodes, pilot and Stay in Your Lane, those have been reviewed. Kind of the meh by the critics. 53 on Metacritic, 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5.5 on IMDb. What are you going to give it?
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10.
So the same thing.
Because I don't think that there's like enough importance here for me to keep watching. There's a couple funny lines, but yeah, I just can't see this like being a long running TV show.
Variety called it lukewarm. I think Hollywood Reporter said that it has the potential to get better. Variety did say that it gets better as it goes. And IndieWire said Meadows brightens an otherwise uneven workplace comedy.
Do you know how many episodes it's going to be? I know with like...
On Wikipedia right now, it says 5 and it goes through November 10th, but I would not be surprised if it's more than that.
It may be one of these like 15, 20 episodes.
It says here that it received a full season order of 20 episodes.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that might explain a little bit more what you're talking about. I haven't seen a lot of, maybe besides St. Dennis, get that much. Like the paper was only like 9.
Yeah, no, the paper was like 10
So
episodes.
in order to flesh out a DMV thing, like I think the writers in the writer room were just kind of spitballing stuff that had happened to them. And so you really need to just like really string that out over 20 episodes. That's hard.
That might be why it's kind of so slow.
Like it's sort of the same thing if you do like a TSA series or something like that. Like it's all kind of the same where the work is monotonous and kind of like you get a handle of it and the employees aren't necessarily like 100% involved into it or caring.
I think what it is like you can make a TV series off of anything, but like when you look at The Office, why it was so successful is because it had a baseline with like the original Office.
It was a more
people.
character driven.
Yeah, and you can keep doing that, but the DMV is just such a strange place to make a TV series. Yeah, you probably really don't have that much to go off.
Besides Colette, it's not as character driven. Like it's just kind of her. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.
Bye.